Hey, what's up guys? Ronin Man here. Early in the morning, just taking a little walk here. Wanted to show you guys the back streets around Bangkok. These are the people that work, you know. In the daytime, or when you come here at night, it's like a major club area. So there's a lot of dancing and drinking and madness. But these are the guys who make it all happen in the back streets here. So I thought I'd come by and show you guys what's going on here. They're working away. Most of these guys are from Burma. I showed you guys in the one video, but here you can see them getting ready, having breakfast or whatever, getting ready for the day here. And here's the food cart there. It's like pretty healthy stuff, right? Good stuff. Yeah, look at that. This is what they're eating here. Let's see. Oh yeah, oh, it looks good actually. I'm gonna come by here and buy some food actually. Sweet potatoes, that's one of the healthiest things you can eat. And then all kinds of fruits and vegetables. Look at that, look at that. These are the people who build the skyscrapers and everything. Eggs, protein. Let's see what else is here. Mangoes. I don't know what those beans are called, but they're pretty good. So here we are, yeah, making a little building here. You can see there's like cranes everywhere around here. Everybody's working. So, and getting ready for the morning here. Everybody's eating breakfast. Everybody needs some shoes. They wear sandals when they're working. You know, it breaks basically all the rules of what you're supposed to wear when you do construction, right? You know, they wear sandals. And same all over Asia actually. Japan too used to wear sandals too. Still in Japan they wear these almost like kung fu type of you know, wushu type of shoes. You know, you see like the same kind of shoes that you see somebody fighting like Bruce Lee wearing. Those black shoes with the real thin white soles, almost like just a slab of rubber. You see construction guys in Japan still wearing those. And building like major skyscrapers too. You know, like we're talking major, high-tech, massive skyscrapers, right? So it's funny, like what you think is real, you know, like OSHA, like in America they have this thing called OSHA, right? Which is like regulates what you can wear when you're doing construction, and you know what's supposed to be safe and this and that. And then you look all over the world, you see people just doing it their own way. And they don't really care. You know, they don't care. And I tell you, it affects your mind too. Because I know somebody's going to be listening to this going, oh yeah, well that's you know, that's why they have all these deaths and everything, and that's why they, you know, OSHA. You know, I just don't, you know, I know that argument. I'm not saying I'm not, you know, I'm not ignorant of that argument, and I know that argument has some water, holds a bit of water. But you know, I tell you, it's a lot of the stuff I've done in my life has not been the right way. You know what I mean? Like, I have not always. Little monk there in the morning, buying some stuff. I don't know what he's buying. Looks like clothes. But you know, I've done so many things in my life not wearing the right clothes, not prepared the right way. You know, like the Western way. I've been away almost 30 years now, living out of the West, and like wearing sandals and doing construction seems normal to me. You know what I mean? You just be more careful, right? The less clothes you have on, the more you have to be careful. You have to, like, I think one thing about Asia that's great is you can see there's a lot of dangerous things around here, right? Things you can step in, you know, and you know, things you can trip on and stuff. Hey guys. But the thing is that and like a rusty metal thing sticking out head level, stuff like that, seems dangerous, right? Seems like so bad, right? Like people, the Westerners that are here for like a few days, they often, you know, run into these things and need surgery and things like that, right? But how do the Asians survive with all this kind of stuff as a daily life, right? What happens is a little barbecue. That's what everybody eats in the morning. The barbecued meat. This is like the standard morning. This is the standard morning thing, you know, to come out here, have some barbecued chicken, and then get to work. You know, you can see these guys building the city, just building away. They live in those things in the back, see? That's where everybody lives. Yeah, you see those back there? That's it. That's where they live while they're building the skyscraper. And then they move to the next one. And, well, not always skyscrapers. Sometimes like apartment buildings and things like that. It's hard to say what a skyscraper is in Asia because there's so many tall buildings that you don't even know what a skyscraper. I don't even know what a skyscraper is anymore. I think a skyscraper is basically a word that you use when you only had one-story buildings before. I don't even think it even makes sense anymore. Skyscraper. It was a word from the 1920s to me. You know, they're building the Empire State Building, stuff like that. Now it's like in Asia, every building's a skyscraper, really. So we're walking down here, and looks like I've never actually been down this road. This is great. She's feeding these cats. Good morning. Hey. Hey. How you doing? Yeah, so we're kind of here. Oh, this is great. This is great. This brought us straight to the river. Oh, this is awesome. Check this out. Check this out. Here we go. Here comes the boat. This is this boat is like a ferry. These guys go to work in this thing. This thing is not like, that's not like a useless boat there. Like in the West, the boats are almost all useless now. They're for sightseeing or whatever. You know, they're not for work. They're not for getting around. This boat, this canal system, this actually takes a lot of people to work. And it's cool too because it's still, it's one of the fastest ways to get around, you know, because there's bad traffic in Bangkok. So you got these guys jamming away on the river. And this is how they get around right here, man. Straight on the canal. And you know, you notice too, like the same way that the construction workers wear sandals, and they have to watch their own ass, right? I like that. You got to watch your own ass, right? Oh, let me finish that thought. So what happens is the Westerners, you know, get damaged, get injured here because they're so used to not watching out for themselves, right? Because they've lived in a society where everything protects them from everything, right? And so they don't have anything to like run into anymore. But what happens is that seems like a good thing, right? Obviously it saves lives, less people injured, less people in the hospital, less deaths and things like that. But the problem with it, and there's a big problem with it, the problem with it is that the big problem with it, in my mind, and this is just my take, I've never heard this said before, but I honestly think it has a huge, after 30 years in Asia, I think that it has a huge effect. Because what happens is that people as a whole, okay, not just individuals, but as a whole, are not aware of their surroundings. And they're not required to be aware. Because if you're not aware, let's say you're walking through New York and you're not aware of your surroundings, and then you run, somebody left, like, let's say a rake on the ground, so you step on the rake and then it flips up and hits you in the face, right? Well, then what happens? Well, then you get money, right? You get money because, you know, you got hit in the face by a rake. So that's the kind of bullshit, because so you basically get paid for not being aware. So you're compensated for not being aware of your own surroundings. And I know that there is an argument the other way. I'm not saying there is no argument. This is the only argument. So don't get me wrong. It's food for thought. And I'm not talking about society here, guys. I'm talking about fucking Ronin man here. For you, fuck that shit. For you want rakes everywhere. You want fucking rusty shit fucking sticking out all over the fucking place. And holes everywhere, and slippery this, and fucking floors that fall through on the building you're trying to climb on, and trees that fucking branches fall off of, right? You want to be in an environment where you need to be aware, where you need to always test, is it safe to put my foot here, right? So that you don't need anybody to tell you anything. You don't need any license. You don't need any, you know what I mean? Like, you're like a monkey, man. You're like a monkey in the jungle. There's nobody there to watch you at all. You're totally on your own. And you got to figure this shit out. Otherwise, you're going to get injured, right? So this is what I recommend. This is the way I think about my life. I literally don't want anyone to protect me from anything. You know what I mean? Like, I want to always have to protect myself. Like, even the police, like, don't even think of the police as being your help. Here's some more of the canals. These are the natural canals in Bangkok. Some of them you can see down there, they filled it in, right? So now it's a road. But luckily, there's still a hell of a lot of canals. And they're kind of hidden. Like, you know, you saw where I came from. I came from, you know, a busy Soi. Soi is a road. And where all the foreigners are, where all the clubs are. And here we are. We're only a few meters away. I didn't do any editing. I just walked over here. And here we are at a fucking canal with a ton of people. I would venture to say that 99% of the people down there don't even know this canal exists. Honestly, they don't even know this thing exists. But you can just get on here, and it's super, super cheap to get on these things. I forgot what it is, the price. It's so cheap you won't even believe it. It's basically free. You just stand there, you get on, the guy takes you down, there's no announcements. You get off whenever you see something that you recognize. So you got to kind of, if you're not local, you look for something that you recognize and just get the fuck off, right? No one's there to help you, right? The more you have to be alert about where you are, what's going on, the better you are off as a human. Now, if I'm in a place where there's something helping me, you know, and you know, it's a bonus, right? It's like, oh, okay, there's a fucking sign. Like, there's a road sign here. Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I'll check it out, right? I don't immediately trust any of the road signs either, because sometimes they're fucking wrong, right? So I'm always thinking, like, okay, I just kind of, I mean, just in 1/100th of a second, guys. I'm not saying I distrust road signs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just glance at them and I think, okay, does that make sense? Because sometimes they have to make compromises when they're making a road sign, right? You know, this way to Los Angeles, this way to Las Vegas. Might not be very accurate, right? Because, you know what I mean? Like, that might just be a general thing for people that are traveling long distance, and it might not mean anything to some guy who's, you know, trying to get around town, right? So I just think about, okay, what does this mean to me? What does this sign mean to me? You know, and then I kind of like make my own decisions, right? I'm not dependent on any of that stuff. But okay, so this is kind of the intro to my topic today. And this is like how to be a fucking good friend. How to be a good friend. And it's something I wanted to talk about for a long time. And love to get your feedback about what you guys think is the little things that you do to have friends. Because I think that friends are your number one thing when you're MGTOW. Like, there is nothing more valuable than friends. From friends come information. From friends come knowledge, wisdom, right? From friends come ideas, come health-saving ideas. Right? These guys just keep jamming by. It's actually a big holiday weekend today because it's the King's birthday. So I'm surprised there's so much going on. I'm really surprised, actually. I thought it was going to be completely shut down. But no, it's rocking and rolling here. You can see it because these are work boats, right? These are guys going to work. They're freaking going to work. This is a cool one. Look at this one. Let's see if we can get a good view of this. Let's see here. Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. Nice. I love these fucking boats, man. When I see a city where the boats, you know, like in Tokyo, used to be like this. Tokyo was full of canals before. It was basically a swamp, right? And they filled them all in, and they put roads. And whenever I see that, or when I see like a waterway, like in where the hell is that in the States? Not Louisiana, Savannah, Georgia. Like when I go to Savannah, Georgia, you know, like I see different things that probably most people see. When I look at Savannah, Georgia, and I see the river there's all these boats on the river, and everybody, seems like all the Americans are all happy about that. But when I see the boat, I almost feel like crying when I see the river in Savannah, because there's no more people going to work. Like, there's no more life on that fucking river. That life is these guys walking down here going to work, doing their thing, daily stuff, living their life, using the water as a transportation method, right? As a way to get around. That's life, man. They're bringing shit. They're carrying stuff. They're going to work. They're transporting things. They're getting around town the best way possible, which is frickin' water. Water kicks ass over roads. You know, water kicks ass over roads. There's no traffic on water. And you can fly on this thing, man. These guys do fly too. At night, you watch these guys go down here. Man, these waves get frickin' huge down here at night. It's amazing, actually. But let's say I lost my train of thought. Let me go back to. So I want to go back to being a good friend. So okay. So, oh yeah, back to Savannah, Georgia. So I just wanted to end on that. Is that, yeah, it's about life, man. That's what you want, man. Don't be fooled by fake shit. Don't be fooled by people like tourism and just bullshit, right? People, it's a fake stuff. It's like, I imagine like was, you know, some fake Indian village where they had guys, you know, whooping around with feathers on their head, like just fake, right? I would much rather, don't be fooled by that in life. Go for the real shit. Look for the real stuff. This is the back street. These are the guys. This is the river. This is the heart of Bangkok, really. This is where, this is, and today's, like I said, today's quiet because it's a huge holiday. Huge holiday. It's the first king's birthday since he took hey guy, how you doing? Since it's the king, it's the first king's birthday since he took hey guy, how you doing? Yeah. Little dog's going mad here. These guys got a good life here, these dogs. Good life here on the river. Nice, the air is clean. Okay, so back onto my topic. My topic is how to be a good friend. Friendship in general, friends. One of my favorite books, you know, I've read a million times, is How to Win Friends and Influence People, right? And I talked about that before. I've read it many, many times. I've read it so many times that I wore the pages out several times of the fucking book, right? Like I actually wore the goddamn pages out, right? You know, that's the truth. Is you know, I would buy the book, I'd read it so many times that I would fucking, the pages would start to like, you know, when you would look, you wear the page too much, the ink starts to disappear, right? And the pages start to fray and fall out. The binding starts to break, right? That's how much here's the underbelly of the city, is how they get shit around, how they move stuff. And you can see people live outside here, it's no problem. That guy down there, he's homeless. Look at this. I mean, the weather's like perfect, right? You don't even, it's not cold or anything. It's always hot here. Like a lot of Thais just sleep outside. And Asians in general. Like right now there's a huge thing in Shanghai, they're trying to stop everybody from sleeping on the river because it's so hot. The government made a new decree. And the Chinese are rich, right? But they're all sleeping outside because it's better. It's better to sleep outside than it is in a building. That's a big secret. If you can keep the bugs away from you, it's better. I mean, especially in the winter, well, obviously not, but in the summer, you know? I fucking love sleeping outside, man. I love sleeping outside. Both there. Okay, so I read that book a million times, How to Win Friends, Influence People, and I started reading that book, I'd say 30 years ago. So I've read it, you know, I don't know how many times, but many times in different phases of my life. I've listened to the audiobook recently, and I just think it's due for an update a little bit. It's due for an update. I think and I've read a lot of books about how to be a friend and all this stuff, and I don't know, they're good. I mean, they're definitely good. I mean, you learn a ton when you read these kind of books, because the friendship is, like I said, it's the most important thing if you don't have a family. You got to learn to be a friend, guy. If you're not a friend, if you don't have a lot of friends, it's not anybody's fault but yours. And the reason is that you can change it, though. That's the good thing, is you can actually have a shit ton of friends. Nothing's stopping you from having a shit ton of friends. But it's just having the right kind of mindset of being a good friend, you know. So I'm just going to kind of randomly go over a few ideas, I think, that I personally have found super helpful for me. One of the foundations of being a good friend or having friends that I think is one of the most important is like generally having your shit together. Okay, so if you're needy, then it's very difficult to make friends. Okay, so not being needy is my number one recommendation. I don't know, I'm putting numbers on it now, but I don't know if it really is number one, but it's very important. Don't be needy. Okay, so what does that mean? There's a banana tree, you can see. Shit just grows in Thailand. And by the way, this river here, it looks dead and stuff. Dude, you can fish here, catch a fish in like 3 seconds. If you drop a line in this water, and I've seen people do it, there's fucking, or if you throw, no, what you do is you throw a piece of bread. You throw a piece of bread down there in the water, there'll be like 100 fish come up to eat it right away. Like there's fish, there's live people and there's life in Thailand everywhere. Even if you don't think so. They caught a huge, like a fucking 15-foot long snake around here where I am right now the other day. I mean, there's like huge fucking lizards and snakes and birds and massive fish too. Like there might even be like a 5-foot long fish down there somewhere. I would suspect there is, because I've seen those fish eaten by lizards pulled up on the side there. So yeah, no, they're definitely down there. Like these just massive fish, you know. I love it. I love it. I love living somewhere where things are alive. People, animals, plants. Basically, that's what life means to me. People's, animals, plants. If those three things are all like growing wildly and living, then I love it. Look at that. Look at that. That's a tractor, a heavy tractor out on a wooden platform. I don't know if OSHA would recommend that, but you can tell it obviously works. Oh, that's funny. Oh man, look at that. That thing is heavy. Anybody in the construction business? Any idea how heavy that is? That thing is just sitting right there on that wood. Oh my gosh. I wish I could get a close up. I can't do it. Let's see if I can go down. I can go down on the platform here. Let's see. I get a little closer here. Oh, that's fucking funny. Let's see here. Oh, look at that. Oh man. I mean, these things cost a fortune, right? You know. Let's see. Okay, I don't want these guys to stop for me. They're gonna think I'm getting on. Oh, they're just stopping for somebody else. Oh, kind of cute girl running the boat there. Gotta love that. Oh yeah, tons of people getting off. Yeah, so that's maybe going down the little soy there, going to work or whatever, doing their thing. Yeah, these guys are all going to work, you can see. Going to work. This is their daily commute right here on the boat. No traffic. Here, by the way, here's a restaurant right here, right on the river. You probably can eat dinner here at this restaurant. I could go down and check the menu, but I'm getting easily $3, no problem. Maybe as low as $2, $1, depends on what they have. But it's very easy to eat well, and everything here is not pre-made. It's all, you know, produced, right? So they're cooking food, they're cutting vegetables, they're making food, right? You know, that's what they do at the restaurants here. They don't like American restaurants. They unthaw things, and they don't. Everything's already cooked in American restaurants. You know, they have everything's cooked in a central kitchen. And Thailand, there is no central kitchen. Every single restaurant cooks the fucking food themselves. And that's why you know more what's in the food, because you can watch them make it. And you can tell them. Like I go in the kitchen always and I'll say, hey, don't put that in there, right? Don't put MSG. Don't put salt. Not every time. I'm not a pain in the ass. But you know, the guys are pretty cool. If you just walk in there and smile, he'll be like, oh yeah, like come on in, you know. And then just look and then say, oh, just point at something, say no, no, and then make the international sign for no, you know, like, you know, just waving your hand in front of your face, and he'll be like, oh, okay, give you the thumbs up, you know, and he won't put it in there, right? No salt, no sugar, whatever it is that you don't want. Or if you want more spice or less spice, you can just point to it and then do the sign for little, you know, or a lot, right? And he'll do it, right? So, because it's not a central kitchen, it's made right there for you, right? So, okay, so back to making friends. So it's like having your shit together is the number one thing, is not being needy. That's the number one thing. Because, like, for example, okay, I stayed at a friend's house last night, right? And so he sleeps in a bedroom, right? Well, the bathroom's in the bedroom, right? So Let's see, I heard a chicken in here. Someone's raising, oh, there it is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, these chickens here. See these roosters? Can you see them there? Let's see. He's not for eating, this one. These are for fighting. These are for fighting. 100% these are fighting roosters. Oh, now maybe there is some for food. Yeah, those are for food, those ones. Oh, they got both, I see. They got the males for fighting. Yeah, look at that. They got the males for fighting over there in the back, and they got the females and the chicks for eating. Okay. Yeah, so they got both. So I was staying at my friend's house, right? And the bathroom is in his room. So I was out in the living room, right? Yeah, it's a 1-bedroom, right? It's a great place though, beautiful apartment. And so he sleeps in there, right? So if I go in there, like in the morning, take a dump, I'm gonna wake him up because he doesn't wake up as early as I do. So, you know, instead what I do is I go somewhere else. Like I'll go out and go to a nearby hotel. I'll go down to any facilities outside his room to take a dump. And the reason is because, well, one thing is I'm healthy, so in the morning when I wake up, first thing I gotta do is take a dump, right? If you don't have to take a dump first thing in the morning, that's a bad sign. Very bad sign. That you gotta fix some shit and start eating some better food. But, so that's the first thing. I think I wake up because I gotta take a dump, to be honest. Like, oh, here's the real underbelly here. Oh, okay. I don't know what that is. Some of this stuff I always wonder what these pipes are, you know? Like what are they carrying? What are they doing, you know? Curiosity is a great entertainer, you know, just being curious about life. But so I don't wake my friend up, right? So now he's a cool guy. I could wake him up, right? I mean, everybody has to take a dump, right? In the morning, right? Gotta take a dump, no big deal. 99% of people would walk right in there, take a dump, wake him up, apologize, hope he goes back to sleep, right? But if you want to have friends, these are the subtle things you want to think about. Is you don't want to be a burden on people, okay? I think I had an advantage because my parents were from a real country place, right? And essentially, I guess I could say they had very low self-esteem, you know, because they don't like to bother people. They don't want to be a bother. And I know that this can be not good at times, right? It can be, you know, too much where they're ignoring their own needs because sometimes you need some help, right? You know, you need to do things, right? But what I'm just saying is keep it in mind is that you don't want to you want to have your shit together so that you don't need anything from anybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, you know, you want to hang out? Okay, cool. You're always ready to go. Like, someone wants to hang out with me, I'm basically always ready to go. You know, like, because I'm healthy, I keep myself healthy on a daily basis. I sleep every night, right? So that when someone calls me and says, hey, you want to do this or that, I'm basically ready to go. Because I'm like, oh, okay, let's go, you know, if I want to do it, right? So a guy who's not so good at making friends is going to have a lot of demands and never be kind of ready. You know what I mean? Like, you always have to wait for him to get ready. You always have to kind of like, in other words, if you want to have less friends, okay, then what you want to do is think about yourself all the time, right? And don't prepare because you don't know what's going to happen. Like, let's say let me think how this works in real life. Okay, so it's a standard day, regular day. I wake up. I've slept well, right? Because I made sure that I went to sleep at a reasonable hour. I'm healthy. I ate good food. Eating good food, by the way, is one of the most important things you can do to have a lot of friends. And we'll talk about that later. But so I woke up and I feel good, you know. So I feel good most mornings, right? So I wake up almost every morning unless something's going on. So I wake up and I've already, you know, like I've take a dump. I feel good. I've slept. So I don't, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like I could just jump. I could go to the airport and just go to like Puerto Rico or something, right? like I'm basically ready to go, and like I don't need much. So what do I need in my bag? I need a few pairs of shirts, a few pairs of shorts, my sandals, a pair of shoes, passport. Don't need much. I don't need much. And everything that I do need has been kind of boiled down to like simple things. It's all ready to go. It's like, it's not like I don't need to, I don't know, like prepare or, you know, I don't have to like, in other words, my life, I talked about it in the episode at IKEA, but it's not just my house. My house is actually, to me, a burden. Like I prefer sleeping on the concrete or something, you know? Like the house is a little bit of a hassle, you know? I mean, I put up with it because I like having a nice house, but it's one of these things that's kind of a love-hate, you know? I prefer like these Thai guys sleeping on the concrete if you know, I'm half kidding, but I'm serious too, you know? It's like the simplicity of life is just the best, you know? So anyway, so if someone says to me, hey, we're going to Singapore, a bunch of us are going for this reason or that reason, and I think about it, it's a cool reason. Yeah, basically I said, oh, okay, you know. So I go, I put a few things in my bag, get my passport, double check everything, you know, pay the rent, and then basically lock the door, make sure the electricity's off, everything's unplugged or whatever. And then I basically just go, you know, take a shower, and then have a nice healthy breakfast, you know, get extra big. And then I've already drinking water, I'm not like dehydrated, you know. And then I basically can just go down to the airport and then get on the airplane, or, you know, quickly book a ticket to Singapore and get on the plane, because I'm prepared. There's no, you know what I mean? Like I'm ready to go. But I'm ready to go for something that I didn't know was going to happen. So like I'm prepared for something that nobody could have known would happen. I think that's one of the keys to friendship.
Okay.
I know it sounds crazy, but I think being ready to go at all times. It's obviously it's a perfect model that you can't exactly do, right? You know, there's a limitation, but generally this kind of thinking is what you want, is that you are ready to go, right? So whatever happens, like you just, like someone calls you, there's an opportunity, someone wants to make a movie, you want to help them, somebody wants to go look for fucking treasure on a boat, somebody passed away and that you really care about, and you just think, well, I'm going to go to this funeral, you know, I want to go. Or, you know, like maybe there's somebody you can help, you know, there's a chance to help somebody. Maybe you hear somebody's in the hospital, and then you just say, hey, you know, I'm going to go down there, right? Most people, they never ever do any of these things. They just basically, they're so busy with themselves that they never really do stuff. And I tell you this, is that physical is more than mental, okay? In general. First thing you learn in yoga, it's not about being a fucking psychotic left-wing fucking knucklehead who just thinks he's God or something. It's about physical stretching. It's about physical hard fucking work. That's what brings the peace. The peace comes from the physical exertion, right? It's not from the fucking mental masturbation, right? So the same thing here is that is it you physically being with people when they need help, when they need you. That is exactly when that's what makes life. That's what makes life. You know, I can think back, you know, one of my friends, her actually it's not a guy and a girl, it's a brother and sister, but their father died in Tokyo, and they invited me to the funeral, and I went, you know, as I am wont to do. I'm kind of ready to go because I'm ready for life, right, every day. So I went to the funeral, and I didn't realize it at the time, but going to a father's funeral when he was like 90 was like a big deal to that family, and to traditional Japanese families. Like, man, I tell you, that paid off a million times. I didn't mean for it to pay off. I just kind of liked the old guy. I thought I'd go, you know, went to the funeral. But what that did is it, in their minds, is like, you know, I took the time to be there at their father's funeral. I was there sharing in the moment, right? Like my motto, love the one you're with, is like to be there, physically be there, to be available for these important things. So being available and having your bag packed, essentially, it sounds like a small thing because a lot of times there's nothing going on. There's nothing for you to do, but you're still ready. You know what I mean? Your stomach feels good. You know what I mean? You're not overcoming like a massive hangover where you're just a burden on society, right? You know what I mean? Like you're always working on improving yourself. You're learning. You're improving your mind. You're studying audiobooks every single day. You're downloading and studying audiobooks. You're watching videos. You're reading. You're learning. Like I said, I've been learning a lot about artificial intelligence, machine learning, data crunching, big data, algorithms. I've been studying like crazy on this kind of stuff recently. You know, and it's like I'm studying this stuff. So then when something comes up, you know what I mean? Like I got a friend now who started an AI company. I'm going to talk to him probably either today or tomorrow. Maybe even do a video with him. But the thing is that I can do that now because I've already studied quite a bit of machine learning and artificial intelligence. I understand a lot of the things it can do, things it can't do. Obviously, I'm not a mathematician. My knowledge is very, very limited. But the reason why the guy was super stoked that I wanted to interview him in a video is because he had seen my posts on Facebook. He knew that I was like super interested in artificial intelligence. I've been studying. I was prepared, see? So any new technology, I'm always reading about it. Always, man. You know, I always want to find out what the hell's going on with the new technology, right? So if something comes up, because if you study old technology or if you just don't learn anything, you're basically an unnecessary human. You know what I mean? Like, you're not needed by society. People that don't learn are not needed. That's the truth. It's fucking evolution, guys. It's harsh out there. So keep yourself healthy. Keep yourself learning. And be ready at all times. Because friendship is not something you can force. Okay, like sexuality. Sexuality is not something you can force. It's not something that you're better at because you have more staying power or that you pound harder or whatever. Sexuality is like a flow of a river, and being ready and being aware of the other person's feelings and your feelings, and also being aware, like having had so much sex in your life that you actually know a lot of things. So you think, well, like you have a creativity because you've read so much, you've done so much, that when the right moment comes, you have to know. It's like you can seize it. Like, this girl wants me to, like right now, she wants this now. I can tell it. And you know that, right? And you do it, and she obviously responds very well, because one thing girls hate is when they have to tell you what they want. It's like, girl, that's one real thing that is really, girls are really like this. If you just know what they want and just give it to them right at that moment, it drives them crazy. They will love you forever. Because the thing they hate is guys who are like, well, what do you want? You know, like, do you want me to eat you out? You know, like, is that what you want? You know, it's like, she's like, oh God, fuck. You know, she wants you to know. She wants you to know. The only way you can know, in the same vein as be prepared, the only way you can know is that you have prepared yourself by both reading a lot about sex, having a lot of sex, experimenting with things, always pushing your own personal boundaries, and you have a plethora, you have a massive stock of tools in the toolbox that you could use, right? But you don't use them all the time because you're waiting for, oh, this is the moment for this, let me see how that goes. And then that doesn't work, it's like, okay, that wasn't right. So let's try, okay, now, and if you know even more, you're like, okay, if she's feeling this and that didn't work, then I know this is going to work, and then you do it, and it's like awesome, right? So it's not like a perfect science, but it's like you have so many tools, you know. It's like a guy, you know, he looks at a piece of wood, right? He wants to do something with it. He's got all these different tools, and he tries one tool, doesn't work right, so he picks another tool up, right? That's what you want to be with everything when it comes to sex, is that you already are ready. And then the girls just like, they love it. I mean, they just love you because you don't talk about shit. You just know what to do, right? You just have ideas. You're creative. You know, you have experiences, right? This is what it is. It's the same thing as artificial intelligence. It's latest technology. Is how can you be a friend? Okay, like look at this right now. Okay, a lot of these guys, I know a lot of you guys are older. You got to learn technology. Okay, if you're older and you don't know technology, get off your ass and start learning. Because these days, being a friend and having friends means knowing technology. Sounds stupid, sounds like, I know it sounds simple, but it's fucking true, okay? So in other words, you meet like a certain friend, and different people have different, like, prefer different apps. They prefer communicating different ways. Some people, guy I met yesterday, he only uses WhatsApp, right? I got WhatsApp. I got it installed. I don't like it. I don't like WhatsApp. I don't use it for that many friends, only 2 friends, now 3. But I have it, and I know how to use it, and I add it in, boom, done, right? If you're not good at technology, if you don't keep up with the latest things, it's almost impossible to have friends these days. If you're the kind of guys like, oh, here's my phone number, I only use phone, right? Or let me give you my email. It sounds like a small thing, but it ain't a small thing. It's a very serious thing. If you want to have friends, you got to be good with technology these days. I know it sounds mad. It sounds totally mad, but it is totally, totally true. You know, having... Morning. How's it going? Cup? Thanks. You know, like having friends and being and like knowing technology is a key thing, because if you know technology, then for one thing, okay, when you're talking to people, so when people are like doing small talk, joking around, a lot of the talk these days is about technology, you know, jokes about people in technology, jokes about technology themselves, you know, like being aware of what's going on is very, very important if you want to have friends. So you need to know, like in the old days in the 60s, right, or the 70s, music was one of the biggest things, right? So if you wanted to, maybe you weren't interested in music, right? So you said, oh, I'm not interested in music, right? Which is fine, by the way. I could say there are different ways to go in life. You don't have to learn things you don't want to learn. You can be the kind where you're like, I'm not into that, and be super honest about it. So sometimes you do have to make that line. But a lot of times, it's stuff that helps you. Okay, so like technology, you don't want to draw a line and say you're not good at it. You know what I mean? That you don't know about technology. This is something that you can't do. It's like, it's an important thing in your life. Unless you're going to be a mountain man, you know, up in the middle of nowhere, you need to know about technology. And so this, I've never heard it said, but I'm telling you, you want to have friends that are not just your age. You want to have different kind of friends, different ages. You need to be good with tech. You need to start learning. Don't be afraid. Don't worry. Anybody can be good at tech. I got friends who are 70 years old. They totally rock. I'm serious. Totally, totally fucking rock. As much or more than any, looks like they're having some kind of a beauty contest or something. Something going on here. Okay, cool. We're here on campus right now. So yeah, so that's another thing. So first thing is your shit together. Your shit together means, what does that mean? Have your shit together, right? What does have your shit together mean? Okay, it means a few things. One thing, it means health. Okay, so you don't wake up with a backache and a fucking stomach ache and vomiting and feeling like shit and complaining about this and your toe and you're this and you're that. No, you are aware and you fix these things and you focus on these things and you're like, you know what? Like one day, the other day actually, I don't know what it was. I woke up and there was a rash on my crotch, right? It's gonna get specific, right? That's all. But I woke up and there was a rash. I couldn't figure out what the fuck it was. I'm like, the hell is this, you know? Is this a VD? No, it can't be a VD. I'm like, it's not a VD. What the hell is it? I'm like, so I thought, well, I can go to the doctor, right? Or I can try a little home remedy and see what happens. So I had some alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and so I just put a little alcohol in there, and sure enough, it burned like a motherfucker. So when things burn like a motherfucker, it's either very bad or very good. And I had a feeling it was very good this time. So, but like I said, it's the king's birthday today. There he is right there, the new king. So yeah, so what I did was, I put the alcohol in there, I checked it out every day. Sure enough, the alcohol killed it. Now I feel good again, right? So if you ignore your health, if you ignore your finances, if you ignore technology, if you ignore the world around you, knowledge and history and languages, if you ignore these things, how can you have friends? Like really, how can you build a network of interesting people? The only way to have a network of interesting people is to be an interesting person, right? And the way you become an interesting person, it's not something you're born with. You're not born interesting or boring, right? Your interesting or your boringness, it's a result. It's a result of your whole life. It's a result of all the little things you've done. Your fucking interestingness is a result of every fucking Saturday morning. Okay? It's Saturday morning here, right? I found this new walk on the river. I knew the river was there, but I never went that way. I didn't realize it was right near my friend's house, right? But I found this new road now, right? So one more thing I discovered, right? It's like every single day, the things you discover and the things you do. This is what makes you an interesting person. And this is what makes people want to be around you. The reason is you have things to talk about. Because, okay, a lot of times people feel like there's no hope, okay? I want to get you over this one. Let's say you're 65 years old. You feel like you don't have much to offer. You're divorced. You don't have much money. You're bald. You're just feeling like your self-esteem is low. You used to have like a nice car, a nice family. You used to be like something else, right? Let's say you were a professional baseball player, or you were like a executive, and now you've come down, and now you feel like, it's not good. No one respects you. People used to tip their hat like in the garages and everything, and you left big tips, and now that's not the case anymore, right? And so you feel like, what do I have to offer, right? Well, the thing is, you have what you have now, okay, which you don't realize it, is you have a beautiful opportunity because you have a blank slate. See, so what your friends don't have that still have all that stuff is that they are still entertained by all this stuff, right? So they don't have any need to change. Your friends are now stuck for the rest of their life, essentially, because give it another 15 years and it's getting, it's getting towards the end, especially if they don't keep healthy, right? If they keep healthy, they can live to 90 or 100, right? They got a long goddamn time, but most people don't, right? So they lose it, they die, and they slowly kind of fade into meaninglessness, right? But let's say you're 65. Let's say you go to, I don't know, somewhere. And let's say you're not a special guy. Let's say you're not a genius. You're not a Mensa candidate, right? You're just a normal guy. Well, I'll give you an example. I so many times I've traveled somewhere, and just by coincidence, is the moment I was there, something happened. See, if you're always out there and you're always moving around, you're just gonna come across stuff, right? Like maybe you're gonna be at an event, or you're gonna be like here in Thailand they have many coups, right? There's often a coup, military coup, where the government changes, people get shot. Pretty exciting shit, right? So when that happens, if you're here, someone says, "Oh, what were you doing?" So I was over in Thailand, there was a coup, and then it's like, oh, like maybe a lot of people have been to Thailand, but they haven't been there during the coup, right? And they're very interested in hearing about the coup. So you can just be, even if you're not that interesting, you can stumble upon interesting things to tell people about just by being around, just by being available and just getting out there, right? Something happens, you're there and you're like, oh, well, I was there. Let me think what happened, right? Well, this happened and that happened, and then we all ran over there, and you start telling the story. And even 18-year-old girls are sitting there totally, they're just totally fixated, right? Like, whoa, a coup, whoa, you got shot, oh my gosh, it's very exciting, right? So there's different ways to be exciting, there's different ways to be interesting, there's different ways to have something to give, right? That's what I'm saying, is two things, right? One is to need nothing, okay? So you don't need people to give to you, so you don't need to borrow money, you don't need to complain about your leg, because you worked on it, right? I had a bad knee, I destroyed it playing football in Shanghai like a total fucking idiot at 45 years old, playing football with 20-year-old guys from Illinois and destroyed my knee, right? Well, that could have been the end of me. right? I could have been like, oh, now I'm on the downhill slide. I really did destroy my knee, by the way. I was worried I couldn't walk again, walk normally again. And so, but what I did was I went to the doctor. I did everything I could to fix it. Still was totally fucked. I didn't know what to do. I kept studying. I kept learning. I kept trying. Nobody was coming up with the right answer because everybody says like knee surgery makes it worse because there's only so much cartilage in there. You start fucking with it. Even if you spend $1 billion on knee surgery, often that makes it like a lot worse because you don't have anything in there anymore. So they don't have a good, knees are not these kind of simple things. They're very difficult to fix, right? So I was like, what do I do, right? So I kept looking around. I finally met this awesome yoga teacher who told me he could fix my knee. And I'm like, serious? I didn't really believe him, but I started doing what he said and I started pushing it and my knee got sore again. So I was worried, but I kept pushing it and then I would take a break and then push it and then take a break and then push it. And I'll tell you something, my fucking knee is coming back. Fuck the doctors, fuck anybody. My knee is coming back. I'm doing heavy squats again. I'm doing full squats. Like, I thought this was never gonna happen in my life. I really thought it was over for my knee. And that's a lot for me because a knee is how you were mobile, right? So I'm like, I just felt so down about it for like a year. And it was the same time I was going through some really tough stuff. So I was like, it was a combination of things made it really, really hard. And actually, John, the guy that I have on the podcast quite often, from Japan, was the guy who saved me. Came over, took care of me, made coffee for me, made sure I was okay. And that friendship, it was the most important thing during my knee. And I was really down. I'm telling you, Ronin man, anybody can get down. That was one of the few times in my life I was really down. I was worried for the future. I really didn't know what I was going to do. I felt bad. My self-esteem was at an all-time low. Friend was there. A friend was there. And that meant the world. So when you are, these things I'm talking about, being a friend, being available, not needing anything, you don't need to take a shit in someone's house. Because you can take a shit, you've already checked it out. There's like a ton of toilets near the place. Walk outside, take a shit somewhere else. Don't take a shit in someone's house. You know what I mean? You go to someone's house, you go over and take a shit. This is bullshit. You know what I mean? It sounds stupid, but it's like, don't take a shit in someone's house. Unless you know what I mean? Unless you have an emergency. But be ready. Don't have diarrhea. Like have your shit together. You know what I mean? Like I know this is a perfect model and you can't, obviously there's times when you're going to break this, but this is the mindset. The mindset is that you don't need anything. You're just sitting there like a guy smiling, always ready to go. You're healthy, you slept last night, you ate good until today, so it doesn't matter if you go somewhere and you eat shit food for like 2 days or something. It doesn't even matter. You don't need any special food. That's the other thing, right? You're not a vegan. Now, my hat is tipped to vegans. I actually have great respect for vegans, believe it or not. And I know that some people are just very annoyed by them. But I think if you look at the average vegan guy, I don't care his political views, but you look at his body. The dude's got it going on in many ways. He's got the basic, everybody's wearing black because of the king's birthday. Hey, morning. See you. Everybody in black today. The king. Okay, thank you. Yeah, see you. Okay, thank you. Oh, I can't. I gotta go with my friend. Okay, yeah, see you. Paul. Paul. Yeah. May. Nice to meet you. Yeah, see you around. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. You don't need anything physically. You want to even. This is even my thinking on this one is so clear. I don't even want to need any prescription drugs. See, because that ties me to something. That ties me. If I lose my bag, then I have to go home, right? So you that's why you don't want diabetes. It's not just because it's unhealthy. It's not just because it sucks ass and they might cut off your leg, right? There's obviously all these main things why you don't want to have diabetes, right? But what you want to do is you want to be a man who needs nothing and is ready for anything. That's the basic thing. Physically, mentally, you're ready for anything, which means that you've studied, you've learned, you've kept your skills up. You've kept your knowledge up. You can speak in front of a group. You know what I mean? You're still I'm 52 years old. Those are college girls, right? And not the most attractive college girls, but they're college girls. They just invited me out, right? I don't know where they were going. I couldn't hear what she said, but they're going some event or something. Today's a big holiday. You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome. That's what you want to be. Is that you keep yourself healthy. You got, like, I got a 33-inch waist, right? The reason why is because of years of thinking about it, years of keeping myself in shape, so that I can keep myself healthy, so that I'm ready to go, so I don't have any diseases that I need to like burden people with. Now, if I get something, okay, if I get the one disease, if I have the one thing, if I need the help that day, my friends are fucking there for me. They, like my friend John, who came over and helped me, he helped me, and the reason why he was there for me is, one, he's a fucking awesome friend, which is going to be the next part of this, is how to pick awesome friends. But the second thing was that I don't need a lot of shit. Like, usually I'm giving. So when I do need something, which is rare, you know, my friends are like, oh, you know, fucking Paul needs something. Like, I'm going to fucking, you know, Ronin Man needs something. I'm going to fucking help him, right? And they're there for me because I don't need everything every fucking day, okay? I'm not moaning and pissing and fucking groaning out of bed. You know what I mean? I pop up. Hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? This is the kind, and by the way, this is one of the main things I judge girls by too, is whether they're a good girlfriend, is if you wake them up at 3 a.m. and they look over at you like, what's going on? You know, they're not like all upset and screaming at you. They have a very even emotional you know, what is it called? Disposition. They wake up in the morning, they're like, oh, hey, how's it going? I love these kind of girls. These kind of girls, I give them extra kudos. And this is separate from being pretty or anything. It's just, they just have an even disposition. I can trust them more because they don't, like, one day they're this, next day they're that. One day they're up, the next day they're crazy, the next day they're yelling at you, holding a knife, whatever the fuck. These kind of crazy emotional things, I can put up with it. And some girls I've had, they're like that, that are awesome, but, or have been good girlfriends anyway. But as a general rule, my friends, myself, girlfriends, friends that are girls, emotional stability, okay? Now, what does emotional stability come from? Like I said before, physical health, food, sleep. These are the don't listen to fucking, I don't believe, and I have enough experience to tell you, I can say, without a doubt, this is not some bullshit fucking, you know, consult your doctor kind of bullshit. I can tell you, if you eat well, if you sleep well, if you exercise well, and I don't mean just any random exercise program you think is good. You need to learn. You need to learn your body. It's not a simple thing. It might take you 20 years to really learn what is the right exercise for you exactly, right? But if you keep at it and you keep searching, you will find the things that you need at the different stages of your life. And they will change, okay? They will change. But then you will be ready, and you will be, okay, all those things, eating right, sleeping right, right? Being in shape, not having any like serious diseases all the time, right? And having savings, right? So you save money, right? You don't spend all your money, right? So you're not always like, oh, can I borrow some money, right? Because you don't need to borrow anything. Again, you don't need anything from anybody. But if somebody wants to give you something, okay, they want you to come over. They want to hang out. They want you to stay at their place. They want to go travel with you. They want to, they don't have they have a car they're not using. They got a house in Paris they're not using. They want to give you something. You're like, oh, okay, sure. You know, like, you don't need it, right? You're not like, hey man, I got nothing. Can I use your place in Paris? No, that's not, you're never going to have any friends with this kind of attitude. I have tons of rich friends, like very rich guys, like, and it's interesting having rich friends, by the way. It's a different kind of thing. But like, if you don't need anything, and if you add value, and if you're interesting, and if you're always kind of like emotionally stable, your humor, you got good humor, good sense of humor, you understand what's going on, you know how to talk to people, you have good social skills, so you're able to talk in a group, you're able to be a group member, right? You're not like always the star of the show, you're not always taking things over. You've worked on yourself. You've always, nose to the grindstone, when nobody's watching, You're looking at yourself honestly. You're picking your faults. You're looking on the internet. You're asking your friends. You're fixing these things in advance. That's what I mean by being ready, is you have faults. You're selfish, okay? You might be a thief by nature, right? You might be a liar by nature, but you can work on that. You can work on that, and you can get rid of that. There are many people, instead of being ashamed of this, don't be ashamed. If you have a problem, right? If you have like a propensity to do something, XYZ, it's fine. Just work on it. Just admit it, and then fucking take the shame and just say, okay, I got this problem, right? You know what I mean? Like, I exaggerate. When I was a kid, I used to exaggerate. I used to lie and tell stories. And it took me a long time to get over it, but I didn't get over it by not facing it. I had this bad feeling in my stomach whenever I told these stories. You know, I'm talking about when I was a kid. It was like I would move a lot, right? And whenever my dad could make some money, we'd move. And then we lived in trailer parks, and I would lie. And I had these stories that were totally untrue. And I remember how difficult it was to let those stories go. I told my friend that I talked about in the postmodernism video these stories, and he would look at me like I was like subhuman, because he knew I was lying, and I knew I was lying, and I couldn't stop it. But there was a point in my life when I finally said, I will never, ever tell these stories again. And I didn't. I'm like, I'm done with these stories. I'm done with this lying. I don't need this. I don't know what it caused by. I don't know what, you know what I mean? Like, are you broken, or why? No. How? That's the question you always ask. Not why am I an alcoholic? No, it's like, how can I, if you're an alcoholic, how do you fix it? What can you do? How can you fix it? Where can you go? When can you do it? These are the questions. Not why. It's all about what, how, when, how can you fix it? So you have something wrong, like, okay, you're not good at technology. So you say, well, I've never been good at technology. None of my friends are good at technology. I don't even know what that is. It's very, very daunting. It's very, very big. I'm 70 years old. Well, you say, well, how can I learn about technology? What do I need to learn to be good at technology, right? Because one of the most important things when you're learning something is to know what you should learn first, in what order, so you can kind of get a structure of the importance of things. Because you can spend a ton of time studying something that's really small, that's not important, right? So you need to have a helicopter view of things first. How are people living life now? What are important? Applications, extensions on Chrome, programming, artificial intelligence. Which language are people using for programming? Like, what is a database? Which websites are popular? Why? How do people use XYZ website? Right? Which way is it going? Which way is it going away from? These kind of overview things are really good to know. Then once you have a good overview of the internet, of the way technology is shaping people's lives, what's the important things, what's not important, why they're important, how people use them, then you can say, then even though you're not a tech guy, you're wise. Dude, if you're 65, you're fucking wise. You've seen a lot of the world. And once you understand the helicopter view, it's gonna be totally obvious to you. And it might not even be obvious to a younger person, because you're gonna say, oh, if everybody's doing this, if this is changing from that, then I think that's important, right? And often your wisdom of your life experience can be very valuable once you understand the basics of what's going on, right? So you might not know technology, but you know life, right? And once you study technology, see what it is it's a virtuous cycle, because one thing leads to the other. So being good at one thing allows you to be okay at something else. And the wisdom is transferable. See, so everything you're learning, everything you're improving yourself on, every little step that you take to be not needy, right? Every step you take to know more, every step you take to improve your health, every step you take to eliminate your shortcomings, your natural weaknesses, right? Every step you take to be more attractive as a person, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, everything that you do, time management, all these things, the more you have yourself under control, the more you have yourself growing like a plant towards the sky. That's the best I can say it. Look at a plant. Look at those plants, right? They're growing up to the sky. Even these blades of grass, they're all growing as high as they can. They're reaching up. They're reaching up to the sun. They're trying to open to get as much sun as they can on their leaves, right? They're reaching the branches out to grab as much sunlight as they can. And they're trying to grow as high as they can. And then they grow as high as they can, and then they start to bend over. That's as high as they can go, right? That's the way you think about your life. You're like a plant. You're like a plant. You can't do everything. You're not a flying car. You're not a fucking time machine. But you're like a plant. And you're going to grow as high as you can grow. You're going to stretch out as much as you can stretch. Okay? So that's what is the purpose of life. This is the fucking purpose of life, in my mind, is to grow like these fucking plants. Right? There is a limit. These plants don't go all the way up into space. Right? But it doesn't matter. They still grow as high as they can. And they grow as big as they can. And that's a goddamn awesome thing. Right? You don't have to be Master of the Universe. Just grow as much as you can. Right? With what you got. Every plant's got different limitations. Some people, you know what I mean, just like this grass is low. The trees are high. The trees have an advantage. The reason why is because they can block out the sunlight for the grass. Often you'll see dead grass at the base of a tree because the sun has all been taken by the tree. Right? So you do have limitations. Some guys are 7 feet tall. They can play basketball better to get a rebound, right? Dunk the ball. So you might not have that. But grass produces a lot more, it uses a lot more oxygen. It uses a lot more carbon dioxide and reprocesses it back into oxygen. It cleans the air better, right? Whereas trees don't really do that much for global warming, believe it or not. Grass does a lot more. It's pumping away, man. Grass is pumping away, right? So everybody's got their advantages. You accept who you are, what you have, but at the same time, you are a never-ending, self-fucking, fixing, improving, studying, self-generating, creating machine. And you never stop. You never, ever stop. You never say, oh, I'm too old. I can't do that. It's like, what the fuck? You're still alive, right? Are you talking? That means you can do it. You're still alive. You're not dead yet. You're here, right? And if you're 22 years old listening to this, this might be resonating with you too. Because when I was 22 years old, I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. Especially when I was 21. I remember it was a really tough time. I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to compete. I didn't know where I was going to go. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know who I was. There's so many things I didn't know. I didn't have any confidence. I just didn't know what the fuck was going on. But I hung in there. I learned how to be a salesman. Right? I stopped drinking. I thought, well, what can I do? What do I want to do? And that pouring out the coffee for me at that time in my life when I was 21, pouring out the drinking, because I was drinking and doing drugs at 21. When I poured that out, like I talked about my mentor, he always says, if you want a hot cup of coffee, you don't pour hot coffee in a half full cup of coffee, you pour it out. Let it be empty, right? So I'll end on this, is when you want to learn something, right? If you want to learn how to eat, okay? You want to learn how to eat healthy. You stop eating, okay? Whatever you're eating, you don't eat that. And then you sit there, and you get hungry. And you say, well, what can I eat that is good for me? And then you go and get that, and you eat that, right? And then you get hungry again. And you say, what can I eat that's good for me? Well, knowing what I know now, because it's not simple. It's not like a fucking salad is healthy. It's much more complex than that. There's a million types of salads. There's a million types of vegetables, right? You want a variety, yellow, red, green, leafy, white. You want a variety of all these things, right? So you have to study to get that, right? So it's a combination of emptying the cup. There's nothing there, oh, hey, hello. Everybody's coming by here. So you have to empty the cup. You have to be available, and you have to study, and you have to learn. And then what'll happen is you'll be hungry, and you'll say, okay, I'm not going to eat what I used to eat, okay? I'm not going to eat those things. So what am I going to eat? I'm going to have a fucking radish. Okay, radishes are awesome, right? Okay, I ate the radish. All right, what am I going to have next? Well, let's see. How about some spinach? Okay, eat some spinach. Okay, the next day, you eat some spinach, but you say, you know what? I want to put something on the spinach. What can I put on the spinach? Italians put olive oil and balsamic on it. So you clean the spinach, you put all balsamic and olive oil, and you'll say, wow, that's really good. I had no idea that spinach could taste delicious. And then you eat that. And then the next, you don't think I need 3 meals, I need this. No, you're like, what's healthy? What can I eat? This is how you learn how to eat. This is exactly how you learn how to eat. And it's also by constant studying, but it's by not putting unhealthy things in yourself. And it's by thinking, what should I eat now? What balance do I have? What you know what I mean? Like, what do I particularly need that somebody else doesn't need, right? And then you're filling it up. You're emptying the cup and you're filling it up with hot coffee slowly, because it's not always so simple, right? You know, like knowing what to eat is not something that's going to come naturally to you if you're eating shit food. You think, okay, here's the last thing I'll end on, is your biggest problem when you're learning is not that you're not disciplined, okay? Don't think that you're not disciplined, okay? Your biggest problem is you don't know. Because what you think you know is your biggest problem. You think you know what's healthy. You think you know what a good friend is, right? But that is the thing that's holding you back. It's like, wait a second. Maybe I'm a fuck up. Maybe I don't know what I need. Maybe I don't know what's good for me, right? That's where you want to go. That's where the magic happens. That is exactly where the magic happens, is where you say, maybe I don't know. I'm going to learn. And I'm not going to do what I know is not bad for me. And I'm going to be patient. And step by step by step, I'm going to find out what to put in my body to be healthy. I'm not going to think about what I used to. I'm not going to think about what kind of nationality I'm from. Americans eat this, Italians eat this. Fuck all that shit. You don't care about culture. You're thinking about your health now. And you're eating one by one. You're putting things in your mind and you're improving yourself. I hope these ideas have been good. This is actually my strategy for being a good friend. You're self-sufficient. You've got humor. You're prepared. You've studied. You've learned. You've improved your humor. You're out there every day curious, doing new things. You're in interesting situations, right? You don't need things from people, right? You don't need things generally. The only time I need something is if I have a fucking heart attack or I destroy my, you know what I mean? Like, there's very few things I'm going to need from people. And I think that's one of the big things. It sounds brutal, right? Because you're probably thinking, like, logically, like, well, you know, friends help other friends. You know, it's good to help. No, that's for them, not for you. For you, you've already thought about it. You've already planned. You've already prepared. And you've eaten stuff for years and years and years. And you put stuff in your mind for years and years and years. So you're this one guy. You don't need anything. You're always ready to go. So what happens? Someone's got a free ticket to the ball game. Someone's going somewhere cool. Someone's got something to do. Someone's got a job. Someone's got an interesting project. You've studied. You know what's going on. They think, well, that guy pretty much, he's always up on things. Let me call him up. Yeah. And your friends will be like, oh, let me call him up. Let me get him involved. You know, we got this new project. We raised this money. We're going to do this new thing. You want to be involved? Do you know anything about this? And the other thing is, because you tell the truth, right, about yourself and to yourself, the people, your friends know that you tell the truth. So you're like, oh, I don't know shit about that. And you know what happens is when you're honest, your friends might start laughing and say, you know, that's funny because most people would say they did, but you say you don't. You probably know more than most people, right? Actually, it doesn't take much to do this. You know, you don't need much, right? They'll try to get you to do it instead of you saying you can do everything, right? You're not lying. You're honest, right? You don't know anything. You don't know anything. You know what I mean? And then sometimes that's okay. And sometimes, and often, the most important skill you have is that you know a lot of other stuff and that you're honest. And that's the kind of person people want to have on a team, right? That's the kind of person people want to have in the office. That's the kind of person people want to travel with. That's the kind of person people want to have sex with, right? It's because you're just there, right? You got a good sense of humor and you're ready to go, right? You got no judgment, right? No judgment. So either way, so there you go. Hope this has been good help for you. How to be a good friend, and love your questions, love your comments. I want to hear honestly what you think about this, what you think about how to be a good friend. Ronin Man signing up.